Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Jake Gordon and Alex Lloyd, wrapping up our show here on this Friday evening with a funny tweet. So if you know what a tier maker is, you can basically tier things and come up with your own categories. This comes from Carter Donick on Twitter. And he tiers these guys up based on basically Kirk Cousins. The first two levels are Mahomes by himself, and then franchise guys, a bunch of good quarterbacks, Burrow, Allen. Wow. Then he has Kirk compliment, which is Geno Smith and Kirk Cousins. And then it's we'll get into the Kirk derogatory, which is Jared Goff, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mac Jones, and who is that?
Ryan Tannehill.
And then there's aspiring Kirks, which is I've been searching for the way to describe who Desmond Ridder is, and I think I just found it. He's an aspiring Kirk Cousins. Like that to me is probably a ceiling. And listen, Kirk Cousins, and we talked yesterday about how the Falcons are kind of trying to mimic that San Francisco offense where you can just kind of plug an average quarterback in and let him make easy passes and run the ball. And it's worked fantastically for Shanahan. I think that's the same way Smith wants to run his offense. You saw the Tennessee offenses with Ryan Tannehill, who is a bad Kirk in this. So an aspiring Kirk, if we can get to the good Kirk Cousins, the Falcons might be in business. I think this is a absolutely perfect way to describe who Desmond Ridder is right now.
Yeah, I think it's funny you mentioned the 49ers offense and, the bones of what the Falcons are doing, kind of mimic the 49ers. And I could see the 49ers going after Kirk Cousins after his contract's up in Minnesota.
I saw a report that when he becomes a free agent, it's going to be a bidding war between them and someone else.
That's crazy.
They want Kirk Cousins. Like that is
that's what I'm saying. I think it could be perfect. And it is hilarious that Ryan Tannehill is in a Kirk category, and that's who I haven't necessarily comped Desmond Ridder to Ryan Tannehill. They show a lot of similarities, but I comp the ceiling, what Ryan Tannehill could be. Ryan Tannehill is a top 10 quarterback in his best year under Arthur Smith. That's a little generous for Desmond Ridder, but I think he could be a fringe top 10 quarterback in this league. Absolutely. I think he could be an average quarterback this year just because the bones, the supporting cast that he has is arguable. I mean, it's definitely top 10 and it's arguably top 5. We talked about it yesterday that if you took Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid away from the Chiefs and Desmond Ridder and Arthur Smith away from the Falcons, those rosters, I mean, you'd probably take the Falcons. So I think that's a great comp. It is hilarious. I mean, I hate Kirk Cousins. Don't want him in big games. I would love Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder feels like he's got a little bit more swag, a little bit more alpha in him than Kirk Cousins, and hopefully, he's better on the bigger stages. But I think this is a hilarious conversation to have.
Yeah, and he's on the list next to Kenny Pickett and Brock Purdy, which I think is pretty good company in terms of what you think those guys can be. High floor in terms of, but the tier above him, young and to feel excited about. I think you could put Ridder up there. I'm not super sold on him. I'm just kind of in a wait and see mode, but I think it'll be interesting this year.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Will Levis is in that category. I mean,
yeah, that was my main complaint.
Jordan Love is also in that category. The other guys I agree with. I think Anthony Richardson is at least exciting. We don't know if he's going to be good, but he will be must-watch television because he's either going to be so bad or so electric that it'll be hilarious. Stroud and Young were the top 2 picks, and then Justin Fields. He showed some promise, but he's also showed some severe lacking as a passer.
The Justin Fields hype and the Bears, being a 10-win team and making the playoffs is crazy talk. They will be in the conversation for a top 5 pick next year. It is crazy talk. With that being said, I wanted to bring up an article. Josh Kendall of The Athletic just posted it. You go read it. It's really not anything other than quotes from Falcons teammates and coaches just heaping praise for Desmond Ridder. And we talked about it, Chase. Do you think that this is just, coach speak and, we just want to, give our guy confidence? But some of these guys are really established. I mean, Drake London's been in the league 1 year. He's a great football player. I'm not going to take anything he says with a grain of salt. But then it's guys like Calais Campbell. It's guys like Grady Jarrett. It's guys like, Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith's the head coach of a football team. I know he's his guy, but this is crazy. I'm starting to get a little hype for Desmond Ridder. I don't know.
Well, I mean, listen, like I said, if he can become Kirk Cousins, or anything like Kirk Cousins this year, the Falcons are going to win the NFC South. Like, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, they've got the pieces. They've got the right guy pulling the strings. I think Arthur Smith, his play calling doesn't get enough credit. I mean, he's one of the best play callers. He's up there with Kyle Shanahan as one of the best play callers in the league. And the only reason he hasn't gotten that credit is simply because they haven't had success. But this business the Falcons had no business competing. I know you did an article on it yesterday from a Warren Sharp tweet, but like, they had no business competing in most of their games. They were one of the worst rosters in football, yet competed and were in the game in 15 out of 17, won 7. Now they have a way better roster and a better quarterback, hopefully, in Ridder than Mariota. They're bound to improve. And if Ridder can be average and start creeping up to the good Kirk Cousins territory, this team is going to make the playoffs. And the NFC is wide open. Outside of the Eagles, there are no dominant teams. But thank you guys for tuning in so much on this Friday. We will be back with you next Monday.